another beautiful interaction between young preschoolers and my child parts of consciousness. The virtual reality, it's like video game, the virtual reality program to help heal age regression would be based on polyvagal activation, interacting in child-appropriate settings to forge deeper connections with the state of a child's body and mind, and the state of self-presence, and the state of child-adult interactions, where you can shape what the adult and child look like, so create avatars unique and specific, so that the inner world of your mind can become something you can tangibly experience when it comes to healing child parts of consciousness. And so whether they look like your, human physical self from childhood and adulthood, or whether they look like the way the mind appreciates the opportunity to perceive parts internally in present day, or whether you create the avatars as something you can connect with. And then the objective is to have those 3 different kinds of specific experiences where you're engaging in a child's body, which means that the world perception is from the stance of a child, and the world interacts with you as if you were a child, which means little kids will interact with you as a child, adults will interact with you as a child, and in a loving way. It'll all be programmed so that there's a deep respect. I know, not always, but sometimes adults can kind of be condescending because you're small or whatever, but it would be on this very deep respect basis, where they understand you're a human being with complexities of consciousness, and so you interact from the position of a child's body, visually, socially, all this stuff, and you have experiences, tangible experiences, playing and exploring the world in a child's body. And then you engage in child-adult interactions where your perspective is shifting back and forth between, that's cool, between child and adult. A little rainbow to greet us, little angel beams. And so the perspective in these specific interactions would be shifting back and forth between child and adult, and that would really give, and both of these would be avatars you create, but the types of interactions would be pre-programmed in the virtual reality set, and so it really kind of guides you through a process of being there for your inner child and learning to listen to your inner child. And in theory, actually, this could be a program to heal your inner child, not just age regressive parts of consciousness. I hadn't thought about that, because it's important for it to be an expansive audience while staying specific with the skill set that is needed for deep healing. But that's actually a really good idea. And so you wouldn't actually process your specific stuff, but you would gain the skills to kind of tune in and listen and understand your inner child or age regressive child parts of consciousness, and interact with your inner child or age regressive child parts of consciousness, and so interact with the world through the perspective of a child. Have specific healing interactions between a child and an adult where you create both avatars, and the perspective of the conversation shifts back and forth, and you play both roles basically, but in a very tangible way, where your eye level is from a lower, shorter perspective when you're a kid, and from a taller perspective as an adult. And in theory, it could use the new technology that's being created with VR that really picks up on facial cues, and it can say, make this facial expression, and once you do that and it registers, then it says good job or whatever. And it would actually guide you through the process of using the polyvagal complex to work with your own sense of self, through your own consciousness and inner being. And then I forget what the third one was. But yeah, so that would be the virtual reality program to heal your inner child and or age regressive child parts of consciousness. And the introduction to this like program pitch can talk about how our inner child is at the core of everything. Our brain body systems never forget, and everything that happens during early childhood shapes the rest of our lives, for better or worse. But we don't have to stay stuck there. Our brains can be reprogrammed, but we can't really reprogram something about us that we don't know about. And so it's important to explore the inner child. The inner child holds the keys to our self-understanding, holds the procedural memories in our brainstem that are impacting 80% of our unfolding decisions moment by moment. And, you know, with our model of consciousness, we explain our inner child's really at the top of everything. Everything that happens in our subconscious, which is connecting our conscious awareness and unconscious states, is stemming from the inner child. And so we can talk about the significance of the inner child, and then we can talk about people living with, I don't even know how to describe it yet because we're still creating language for it, but living with parts of consciousness who are isolated from one another. That's one way to phrase it, I suppose. Where a part or parts of consciousness did not continue developing due to traumatic stress during early childhood. And so not only is there this inner child in like a mental way there, but in a physical way. And healing physical age regression is really tricky. And yeah, and so we can talk about that, which I don't really seem to have a lot of access to right now, but that's okay. And so we talk about age regression in relation to a development of consciousness involving traumatic stress. And so we'd bring up the importance of this program, and then we would explain what the program would be. And I'd really just like to write like a one-page pitch, just to like have handy. For compassionately evolved consciousness as we continue to explore, because this is like the prime area for that stuff. I know that there's developers nearby just waiting to take on a project like this. So that is my spiel. And the hope is that by the end of the program, users or players or clients or I guess it would be players, right? Virtual reality. People exploring this program would have a better understanding of the world through a child's perspective. I'd have a better understanding of child-adult interactions, would have a better understanding of how to address self when doing inner child work, would have tangible experiences that could help expand the consciousness if there's aspects of age regression. Would create new experiences for the inner child to create tangible healing like never before. And maybe something about the polyvagal system, and how to positively engage that for mental health healing in general. I think those would be the main things. Yeah. Okay.